So regardless of how the planet was formed, there were still these ley lines that we've got. One such person that knew about these ley lines was Nikola Tesla, and he knew that the Earth could generate power. So he created this tower which would send electricity wirelessly, try saying that a few times, wirelessly across the land. And he actually succeeded in doing this, but his benefactor is the person that was putting in the money was a guy called J.P. Morgan. You may have heard of him. And he's turned around to Tesla and says, okay, fantastic. How do we monetize this? How do we get money off of the people? You know, how do we know that they're receiving the electricity? And Tesla said, no, it should be free. And J.P. Morgan said, no, shouldn't be free. If there's no way to monetize it, we're pulling it down. So the free energy that people do talk about, 0-point modules, etc., are from the Earth's energy. So we're just sort of summing up that the Anunnaki arrived at Mesopotamia, which is sort of Middle East now. They did travel to Africa to create mines, and they also created Adam and Eve there, but they also travelled a lot further adrift. But Mesopotamia is the main area where they had actually fights over different territories. The Anunnaki did, and one such fight resulted in a nuclear explosion where you ended up with green glass, which is only achieved when you have some sort of nuclear explosion. Now in the Bible it talks about what happened to people when this happened. So obviously we now know it's a nuclear explosion, but they said things like, you know, the skin was falling off and the flesh would rot from their eyes. So if you look at what actually does happen, you know, to a person with a nuclear explosion, the same sort of effects happen with radiation and skin burns. Okay, so we're going to slightly move over from Mesopotamia to Egypt. And first thing you need to do is unlearn everything that you think you know about Egypt, because what you are told is, for example, that the Great Pyramid is 4,500 years old, and that's because there was a cartouche inside the pyramid and it was graffiti, and it basically said that it belongs to Khufu, so that makes it dated to around 4,500. Anyway, the last couple of years that cartouche has been proven to be fake, and what happened was two prominent historians and archaeologists were fighting each other in trying to get recognition. And one of them, I can't remember his name, one of them went into this Great Pyramid, went right up to the top and faked this cartouche so that he could then claim that he now knows who created the pyramid, and so he got the recognition. However, the date of that is completely wrong, and I'll explain in the next video. So in the last video I just said that the dates are fake because of the people believing that it's the Khufu's pyramid. So we know that it's fake, the dates, because the weathering. Now lots of reputable scientists have done weathering on the Sphinx, etc. Obviously that's slightly harder when you had the pyramids had an outer coating, and that's all gone now. But so on the Sphinx, they date it back to about 10 to 12,000 years. Now, bearing in mind, mainstream say 5,000, but 10 to 12,000, we should have been hunter-gatherers. We shouldn't be building anything. So they obviously don't want us to know our true history, and if you've watched the other videos, you know why. Now, bear in mind that the pyramids are not tombs. Everyone says they're a tomb. They're not. No one was ever buried in a pyramid. So please get that out of your head. Start unlearning what they've taught you. Pyramids are something totally different, and I'll explain later on. So if we look at Egypt there, we can see Jerusalem and Israel, and we all know who was born around that area there. And so this is all to do with Mesopotamia and the Anunnaki landing there. So you can see they sort of spread out. Now Egypt has a connection with the Anunnaki, and that's because look at Queen Nefertiti's long elongated skull. Yes, she did have one. Her husband, wait for it, Akhenaten, who was also shown there, had an elongated skull. Difficult to show on these pictures, but yes, he did. And Tutankhamun recently, in a BBC documentary, done a head scan of their child, Tutankhamun. Now people could say, oh well, that's because they were inbred and whatever else, but if you go back to everything that I've already said about the elongated skulls from Anunnakis, you can see why the rulers, and only the rulers, had the elongated skulls.